Welcome back, everybody, to La Cantina del Diez. I'm Marcelino, and I'm joined by my boy Oscar. Today, we've got a little bit of a different setup. As you can see, we're not in the same place. I'm on the East Coast in North Carolina. We might be lucky and get a guest appearance from our boy Lemon from NC. And
Stay
Oscar, I
tuned.
believe, you're back home, correct?
I'm in beautiful East Palo Alto, California, the one and
Oh,
only.
baby. Oh, baby. Well, to start off, we got to crack open some beer. Since I'm in North Carolina, decided to get a North Carolinian beer. We've got a kayak Kolsch here from Deep River Brewing Company. We'll
Nice.
crack this open real quick for y'all. All right. What do you have, Oscar?
So I got two. Every time you drink a beer, it's always two beers. So we're starting off with the Modelo just to open it up with a random object. And then I got one of my favorite breweries, Laughing Monk from San Francisco. This one's their Muchos Goles. It's a Mexican lager. Laughing Monk, one of the best breweries in the Bay Area. If you haven't tried, definitely try it. There's the Modelo.
The Modelo crack. At some point, we were talking, we got to do
Cheers,
a
bro.
cheers. Beer crack and ASMR.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But let's get into this, Oscar. We had some great games this weekend, the end of the World Cup. To start, though, we had the third place game. We had France versus England. We'll just do a quick review. How did you feel about that game? Because that was a thriller. It was 6-4, 10
Yeah.
goals scored in one game.
Bet the overs. uh, the third place game, we talked about it last week. It's a game that no one wants to play. So the way I've always thought about it, there's always a team that starts off trying their hardest or trying harder, and they usually take the lead, and the other team has to start using more energy to not get embarrassed, to put it lightly.
Exactly.
And we saw France start to, get a spanking down 4-0 at halftime, and then you saw their world-class players start to, turn it up. No one
They
wants to get
really
embarrassed in any game.
It was 4-0 going into the half. England was up. And then you start to see a little bit of a comeback from France, making it 4-2 at one point. They kept a lot of their starters in much longer than I thought they
They
would
used
compared
most
to
of their starters.
they did. Meanwhile, England did not have Harry Kane. He did
No
not play at
Bellingham.
all. Jude Bellingham came in maybe the last 15 to 20 minutes and
Yeah.
ended up scoring a goal. Probably should have had two to put him closer in that golden boot standing. He was very nice, though. Wan-Bissaka scored 3 goals. Oh my god, not Wan-Bissaka, Buyako Saka, I apologize.
Yeah.
Wrong Saka,
Hey,
and
close
ended up
enough.
having a hat ended up having a hat trick to and when Jude could have scored, but overall, an absolute lack of defense from
Yeah.
both teams.
No, I don't think I don't think where was the game in Miami? Maybe they went out the night before and they just
They
wanted
they
to get the
might
game
have.
over. A lot of nice nightclubs to go in Miami if you've ever been.
So I've heard. So I've heard. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Never been.
It's easy to get distracted in Miami as a professional athlete. So I've heard.
So we've heard. We're not athletes though, so just rumors.
Uh, we like to
Not
think we
professional.
are.
Yeah.
You're not
Like,
professional. We don't get paid.
we don't. We should be for
We do it
Sunday
for the
league.
love of the game and the beers.
Exactly. And the beers, the halftime beers. But
Absolutely.
what we really are here to talk about is that final game, Argentina versus España at MetLife's parking lot. I mean, MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
And an absolute, some I think might have said that was one of the more lopsided, boring games they might have
Yeah.
seen.
I
I
agree.
feel differently. How did you feel?
It was a very forgettable final. I don't
Mm,
think we are going to look back 10, 15 years from now and be like, wow, what a great game that Argentina Spain. I
yeah.
think we're going to remember more Messi losing twice, but maybe we won't remember who he lost to, rather than the accolades that Spain received. I mean, Spain was amazing. Credit to Spain.
They really showed they were, I feel, the most complete team throughout
Yeah,
this whole tournament. And they really, I forget it was Puyol, who is a Spain legend, won in the 2010 World Cup, played for Barcelona, was captain there as well. And he mentioned it, I believe, and it was him just saying how he saw the progressive growth. I think Rodri as well said this, the progressive growth of the team throughout the whole tournament and how they first started with that tie against Cabo Verde
Yeah,
and then ended up putting in some really wonderful performances against France and then Argentina to finally lift that trophy at the end. So I think it was rightfully they won it fair
they
and
got hot
square.
at the right moment.
Exactly. And for
Yeah,
these sorts of elimination tournaments, it's whoever's coming in hottest and playing their best usually are the ones that are going to end up winning.
agreed.
What did you think or what sort of tactics or things made it really difficult for Argentina to really do anything? They had 0 shots on
That's
goal
crazy.
and through 90 minutes. They ended up going to extra time, but no shots on goal.
Yeah, so we talked about it last week. We thought Argentina, or at least I thought Argentina was going to try to make it a street fight. And I
Yeah.
think they almost worried too much about making it a street fight than playing soccer.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think they just seem off, lethargic, lazy. I don't know if the all the games that they played in extra time played a role, or
I
if
think
they just seem to have no juice in their legs. And Spain were just running circles around them.
they were. And that's a really good point. The accumulation of time running, they had gone to extra time in 2 out of their 3 elimination games or
Yeah.
however many it were. They had played a lot of minutes, and that first point you made really hit home just now. I was just thinking, you're right. They were thinking of, like, "Let's get it down and dirty, make it really gritty," and then they would have the opportunities where they would win the ball, on their half and then try to make a pass and just very like, these passes that all these professionals can make 100 times out of
Yeah.
100 times their eyes closed, and they were just missing these passes, and I think it could have been a combination of fatigue, the mental pressure of playing in another final and
Yeah.
knowing that it was Messi's last one maybe, and then just I think Spain's pressure and their tactics and them just always being there with 3 or 4 players whenever they lost the ball, and I think that really crept into Argentina's mind whenever they had it.
No, you made a great point. A lot of the Argentinian passes were hospital passes. They had no purpose. They were lazy passes, or they were passes under pressure where they kind of just got rid of the ball like if
Yeah,
the ball was burning their foot, Like everyone that's played
yeah,
soccer
yeah,
knows kind of what it feels like to have the ball under pressure and just get rid of it for the sake of getting rid of it.
yeah,
And whenever your goalie is your most active player and your best player on the field, you're in
yeah.
trouble. And I think Divo Martinez had a record for World Cups final saves. I think he broke it. I think the previous record was 8. I think he had 11. So anytime that happens, you're in trouble. Messi wasn't involved. Enzo Fernandez, we praised him last week, and he was not good. The worst player on the field
He was
was
not.
Paredes. Paredes, I don't know what he was doing. He
Oh,
went in.
man.
He was one of the subs, and he
Came in
had
at
that
half.
yellow where he checked Rodri in the back. Like clearly, someone told him put some pressure on Rodri, but do it in a soccer manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it was so obvious what he went to go do, and it seemed like he was more worried about hitting Rodri than fighting for the ball. I think that was
I agree
Argentina's
with that.
biggest mistake.
100%. That was tough to watch. Honestly, he probably deserved a red in regulation just for the
Yeah,
accumulation of fouls.
100%.
He probably deserved a second yellow, and yeah, it was hard to see, again, that they weren't really trying to go for that ball and create a play, but really just trying to go out and, low key hurt somebody. So that was
And
interesting. I did think, though, in terms of Spain. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, have you ever seen a championship, let alone a World Cup, where both center backs go out? Like
No,
back in the
I've
day,
never
I
seen
feel like most players would, you have to have your leg falling off in order to be pulled from that game. That was kind of weird.
that was, and that I think that did play a really big sort of reason why Argentina had a tough time towards the end as well to create any sort of chances. They had to spend a bunch of subs on defenders. So
I
through
think 3 people went out
injuries,
with injuries.
yeah, and
Tagliafico was
super early.
on one leg and he stayed
He
in.
literally was moving with one
Yeah.
leg. He was hobbling and couldn't. play, but they had no more subs, so he had to play.
Yeah.
And that was I felt in that sense kind of bad for him because you knew that he was really hurt.
But it
But
shows the
it
heart of
is what
certain
it is when it
players,
comes to that.
like
And I good.
no, no, sorry. I just it shows to the heart of certain players where there's some players that are not going to go out no matter how they feel. You'll get that injection
Yeah,
at halftime or you know do what you need to do in order to stay on the field. Obviously,
yeah.
we're no doctors. We're not the players. We don't know how injured they were, but you would think it's a World Cup final. It's every 4 years. You're gonna do what it takes to stay on the field and fight.
As long as possible, because
Yeah.
those opportunities don't come. They just don't come very often.
No, they don't.
I thought the Spain's tactics, and I think it came up in the last podcast about how Spain plays, how they apply that pressure, and how they actually build up to would create big problems for Argentina. And what
Yeah.
I saw was when Spain had the ball in possession, at the beginning, Argentina was really trying to create some pressure and press them, force them into some mistakes. And
Yeah.
what would happen was you would have the ball go to Unai Simon, the goalkeeper. The two center backs would split wide. So the center defenders moving out wide, and then you'd have the left and right back go pretty high and wide as well. And then from there, it would force the Argentina defenders to come up and try to squeeze those spaces and mark those men. And then you've got the three midfielders. You would have Fabian, Olmo, and Ruiz. I'm sorry, Rodri, not
Rodri.
Ruiz.
Yeah.
Rodri. They would all come in, and so now you've got more defenders trying to press up in this small space that would create some problems behind because you've got the speed of Lamine Yamal, Baena,
Baena.
and Oriazabal. So if they come in, they're going to play that ball over the top, and then it's a 1v1. So I think that made things really difficult, and they were able to bypass that press pretty easy. Once and when Argentina had the ball, then you would have Spain pressing high, and they would win the ball super quickly. Like we were saying, the mistakes by Argentina,
Yeah.
where they were losing the ball almost at the top of their box several times. It had some really great opportunities that ended up not falling, but it happened more and more,
Could have
and they were
easily
just
went up 2-0 in
easily
regulation.
without Debo's intervention, it would have easily could have easily been 2 to 3 goals. But then you see Messi's try to dropping back and receive that ball too to create some space. But overall, the first half super cagey, most of possession with Spain, and then Argentina would try and just more often than not lose it and just try to play a more direct and a ball over the top. So first half pretty tough to watch, honestly, unless you're a big Spain fan. Then you were
It was
pumped.
pretty boring. We could say it was a boring first half. Best player on the field was Rodri again. And
100%.
I'm the biggest Barcelona fan, but I think it's time to have the conversation of, is Rodri better than Busquets?
That is a great question because you can make that argument now.
It's time to make it.
He
I
has
think
completed football, as they
yeah,
say.
only 11 players have done what he's done. Ballon d'Or, Champions League, and World Cup. Only 11
Yeah,
players.
and
There should be more because back then you couldn't have South Americans voted for the Ballon d'Or, but
yeah,
Rodri was instrumental for Spain winning the World Cup. I mean, without
I,
him, Busquets also, but Rodri gives you the same, maybe slightly less passing ability than Busquets, but he's so good defensively. He's always in the right spot,
yeah,
and he just clogs everything for every team.
mhm.
Like Argentina, obviously they didn't have their best game, but what he did in the game against France, it, it's time to have the conversation. Is Rodri better than Busquets?
I think that's something that I think we should have the listeners help and give some of their opinions as well when it comes to that. Because I agree when you think about it, they actually have a very similar style of play in that sense, and I think also funny enough, a kind of similar frame too. They're kind of long, tall,
Yeah,
and they do, I think, like you
Rodri's
said,
more athletic.
a little bit more athletic, and so on that defensive side, he's just winning tackles all the
Yeah,
time, and then his ability to hold the ball under pressure, to break lines, or to swing the ball from left to right played such a key piece for Spain's win FIFA World Cup win. So I think that's definitely something that can be argued,
I
and would love to hear other people's opinion
like
too.
I would say when Roger won the Ballon d'Or, I used to say it was he got lucky in a year when no one else proved it. But
Mhm.
now he has a second year where he just dominated. Like he was amazing this World Cup. Every
Yeah,
game, if he's not there, they probably lose way early in the tournament.
yeah, yeah. Because he had some big saves in terms of just getting a tackle in
Yeah,
or a header out, and those I think some people I was just kind of scrolling through social media and I would see some takes where they'd say Rodri did not deserve it. There's a big bias towards the winner, which there always is a
of
little bit.
course.
And they were saying, well, Messi should have deserved it in terms of his goals, his assists. And I think a lot of the times those defenders do get overlooked. And those
Yeah,
defensive players that play those key pieces for a huge run like they did in order to win a World Cup.
and another thing, I think Spain is cementing the new way of defending. We used to
Yes.
think, your Atletico Madrid's, your AC Milans of the day, Juventus, the old Italian guard of how to defend was
Yes.
dirty, physical, with colmillo. I think now it's what's the best way we can defend? It's with the ball, and I mean Spain put a masterclass defending.
Yeah.
Um, I saw something online when Fabio Cannavaro won the Ballon d'Or in the World Cup in 2006. He had 29 ball recoveries. Pau Cubarsí had 29 himself. Cannavaro's passing percentage was 84%. Cubarsí was at 96%. He's
Wow.
almost perfect passing. Cannavaro had 5 clean sheets. Cubarsí had 7. And overall, for their whole season, Cannavaro played 58 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Pau Cubarsí had 62 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. I know we don't give the Ballon d'Or to center backs, but if anyone deserves it, I, it might be the 19-year-old from Barcelona.
I mean, again, another good argument. And for people that don't know who Fabio Cannavaro is, he's arguably one of the top defenders all time. He did win a Ballon
He won
d'Or.
it in 2006.
In 2006, he won it. He also captained the Italy team that ended up winning the World Cup as
Yep.
well. It's huge. He played a big part of it. And funny enough, he was a part of this World Cup. He was the coach for Uzbekistan.
Oh yeah,
And so
he was.
he it's funny to see that connection there, but I think comparing those stats, you can make an argument there. And how old is Kubarsi?
He's 19.
He's 19 and he is
I
putting up
remember what I
those.
was doing at 19, and it was not winning the World Cup. I'll tell you that.
Definitely not me either. So I think these are all good things. Rodri versus Busquets, Cannavaro versus Kubarsi.
I
I'm
only bring up the argument because I think this is the one year where there's not one player that has unanimously won everything. Mbappe got a triple single with no trophies. Won nothing in
Yeah.
Madrid, won nothing with France. So I don't think he wins it. Harry Kane, all he won was his trophies in Germany.
Hmm.
Bellingham also won nothing. Great World Cup, didn't win anything. Messi, I don't know if he won something in the MLS, but you know, let's say no. Nothing. Who else would be a contender? Lamine Yamal, he won La Liga and the World
Harry
Cup. So
Kane.
yeah, I mentioned Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Lamine Yamal, World Cup and La Liga, so he's gonna be up there. Rodri didn't win the Premier League, only the World Cup. So the argument can be made for Pau Cubarsí. He had a bigger impact than Lamine Yamal in this World Cup. He was one of the better I think him, Cucurella, and Rodri, those are the 3 players that helped Spain lift the World Cup.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have to ask you, Oscar, going back to the game, the halftime show? The
Just like the
the
game, for me, it was forgettable.
what
Let's leave the halftime
it
show for the Super Bowls. We don't need it for the World Cup.
yeah.
That's my, at least for me. You know?
I was very confused. It started off with Madonna being driven by Dino
Ronaldinho and
and El
R9.
Cotomo and R9, and I was so I don't know what I mean, as spokespeople of the World Cup, I'm guessing, but they drove up, Madonna's doing her thing, and then they just kinda stood there next
Yeah.
to her. And I'm like, "Don't aren't you not gonna do, like, a little samba, a little something?" I've seen
They looked a little stiff for Brazilians.
exactly. Are these the actual people? Are they robots? I don't know.
Yeah,
But so they were there, and then it just felt like a hodgepodge of how many artists can we bring in a small amount of time. So we had the Muppets doing Seven Nation Army. We had BTS. We had Justin Bieber making me a little bit depressed listening to that song.
don't get the, believers mad at us.
I apologize. I like Justin Bieber just for all the believers. I like Justin Bieber. I think if he had the opportunity to do a different song, I would have appreciated a song that was a little more upbeat, other than
Yeah,
Hallelujah. So that is my argument. Feel free to argue with me. Love you, J Beats. And then you've got who else was there? They got Shakira. Shakira was great. And if anything, it should have just been Shakira
and I
doing her
think it
song.
showed the fake Shakira was in Mexico City for the opening. There's also rumors online that they sent the Timu Shakira to Mexico City for the, World Cup, opening match. I don't know.
So I agree with you, Oscar. I think keep it keep it football. We had, maybe at the beginning a longer sort of start to the game, and you do a little performance there while they get going,
Yeah,
or before the players reach the field and we do the national anthems. But I don't necessarily felt like that halftime show really wowed me and made me think, oh, this should absolutely be done again at the next World Cup. So there was that long intermission, and then we get into the second half, which I think was just a lot of the same. Like we were saying, Spain dominating the possession, having opportunities to score, Dibu blocking them, still no opportunities for Argentina. And then going into extra time, it's like, okay, what's going to happen now? Because they're looking for PKs at this point.
just
They're again,
hoping and praying.
Tagliafico's running on one leg. He's like we said, he was laying on the ground at one point trying to get out, and they had no more subs. And then the goal. What did you think about that goal?
So, watching Barcelona every single game, I can tell you Ferran Torres is the most frustrating player to root for on your team. You give him 10 opportunities, he's gonna score 3 world class goals, and 7 are gonna be like, "What are you doing? How can you
Yeah,
miss that?" You know, it's easy from the couch, but that's why I thought he was gonna score because he just kinda he makes
good.
good runs. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's a very good player. He's fast, agile, has a great shot. But the moment where you think he's not gonna score, he scores a banger, and he was in the right
Yep.
place, right time, and I mean, it was just a great shot.
Yeah. I thought it was for me, it was a culmination of the entire game finally cracking open that defense. And what I
Yeah,
mean by that is Lamine Yamal, honestly, I thought Argentina did a really wonderful job with shutting him down, making things really difficult for him.
agreed.
And I think though, even if he's not creating these plays or opportunities, he just draws so many defenders to him
Yeah,
every time he has the
yeah.
ball. He has that gravity to him that it creates opportunities for other people. And so ball goes to Lamine Yamal. Two defenders come in and they leave. Pedro Porro wide open. First time cross to the back post. Nico Williams is back there. Nico Williams was a really wonderful, impactful sub. He's just so
Yeah,
fast,
he was really
really
good.
technical, and heads it back, and Ferran Torres is right there by himself. I was so
It's not
disappointed
an easy
after
goal to score.
it's not. So I was disappointed in the Argentina defenders, but to talk about the quality of that goal, wow! Like left foot right up there, slotted high. That was a
Off the
difficult
bounce.
shot. It looks he made it look easy, but
Yeah,
we know that is not an easy shot, and many players are gonna sky that into the stand. So
absolutely. That is
great
a shot
finish.
that even the best professional soccer players, let's say 50% of the time, they're gonna hit the hot dog vendor in row 21. Like, it's easy to sky it. It's so easy. It's his weak foot. It's on off a bounce. It's on the run, and he just matches it perfectly.
Yeah, it was such a good shot. But I was watching it afterwards, that replay. Giuliani Simeone was technically there, and no one tracks back with him. Ferran is by himself, and I don't know if that was just fatigue at the end. And someone
No, I
posted a
saw a
video.
similar breakdown where someone showed the play. Giuliano Simeone, I thought he actually played pretty good.
I did
Uh,
too.
he made the Enzo Fernandez red card not as noticeable because he's such a
Right.
workhorse. But right after that, right before that play, he sprints up the field, he twists his ankle, and he's sprinting back. He tracks back to Ferran Torres, and he takes a half second to just kind
Mhm.
of readjust his socks, check on his ankle. I don't know what he was doing, but in that half second that he fell asleep, Ferran Torres put it away. That's all
Yeah,
it took.
and that is, and then that's all she wrote. I mean, there Argentina at that point was down to 10 players. We didn't even talk about Enzo Fernandez's
What a
red card.
stupid red card.
90th minute of the game. He already has a yellow, and he
Actually, the
just
first yellow it was for what? Arguing with the ref. The
yep.
second one is a tackle at midfield. What are you doing there? Why are you gonna hit him? It was clearly yellow. I don't know even why he argued. It's a
There was
clear
no argument.
yellow. He fouls him at the 90th minute at the half field. What can you possibly gain from making a tackle of that sort there?
Nothing. There's literally nothing you could do. There was another defender behind Kubarsi, so even if he wins it there, you're going up against another defender, and you know once you get in there, you do know as a player, okay, I don't think I'm really going to be able to get there, and so I'm going to move my foot a little bit, and I'm already on a yellow, and he did not think of that, and
Yeah.
that I felt in a sense was so, in a way, it felt kind of selfish. It was just not thinking. I think is the biggest
I
thing,
think it was
just
a lot of
not being
frustration
present.
from
That too. That too.
a lot of frustration from just Spain making them play cat and mouse, or like we used to say, monkey in the middle.
Yeah.
They were just chasing, chasing, chasing. I think you got tired minds, tired legs, and you have a player that just tried to unleash some of that frustration in the wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah,
And ultimately, that was one of Argentina's downfall.
it
Maybe with
was.
11 players, you can squeeze by and go to PKs. Maybe we'll never know. But down 10 players, exhausted, with a team that wants to keep possession, they want to make you work. I mean, you're always going to lose.
Yeah,
Always.
you always are. And
Yeah.
then España finished it off, lifting up that trophy. I've got my España jersey here. I didn't get a chance to show it off. My fake Iker Casillas jersey. Been having
Nah,
this one for
I saw
years.
Iker Casillas throw it to you after the 2010 World Cup in Johannesburg.
It is.
I remember.
We'll put some sort of we'll create some video of the picture of me receiving it from him at one point for
Yeah.
this. But it was, I mean, well deserved. There was
Argentina got
unfortunately
close at the end.
they
They
did.
had a couple chances at the end.
It was chaos right there at the end with a couple
But who was
opportunities.
there? Pau
Simeone had the ball.
Cubarsí with that goal line clearance. That was the one
Mhm.
chance Argentina got close. Giuliano Simeone had one also where he was kind of leaning back and he skied it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
credit to Spain. They get their second star. They're, with the ranks of France, they're above England now, tied with Uruguay. So that be careful with Spain. A lot of that core was very, very young, and the next
yep.
World Cup is in Spain. So don't be surprised if they go back to back.
And that's actually something that I wanted to talk to you about because, you know, we have seen, we haven't seen, is what I meant, a back to back World Cup champion since Brazil in 1958 and 1962, which is, that's a while ago now. And
With Pelé.
I just want to, with Pelé. So, Oscar, why do you think that we haven't had one? We see it in a lot of different sports. We see it in basketball, we see it in football, we see it in quite a bit, but in the World Cup specifically, we haven't seen it in a while. Why do you think that is?
I mean, right off the bat, the tournament's every 4 years. So 4 years
Mm,
is a long time in professional sports. It's hard to repeat because you have to have your team still healthy, intact, young enough to compete in another World Cup cycle. I don't know exactly how many players from the previous Argentina team in 2022 played or started in the final and played in the next final on Sunday, but that makes it hard. You have to have your players still hit their stride in the right moment, and I mean, 4 years is so long. On top of that, you have a lot of up and coming teams that l they want their moment also. It's every 4 years, in the NBA, sure, you can lose 1 year, but you have the opportunity to compete the next year. Same with the NFL
Yeah.
and, Champions League, but the World Cup, you only get if you're lucky and good enough, you get to play in now maybe 3 to 4, you
Hmm.
know? And on top of that, you have to have the right team around you, so Argentina had their opportunity, France had their opportunity, um, Spain's gonna be in a very good position because a lot of that core is they're teenagers or they just
They
turned, you know, 20 to 23. A lot of that core is gonna be barely hitting their peak or about to hit their prime, and that's scary for the rest of the world.
I agree with you. The one thing I would add is the tenures of coaches.
Oh, yeah.
They with so many domestic tournaments that happen in between a World Cup cycle, there are a lot of opportunities for error. And if they see a coach, there's so many great coaches out there that some federations are really willing to just cut the cord if they notice that things are going
Shout out
downhill. And
Mexico.
so yeah, yeah. Basically, I mean, Javier Aguirre had to right the ship right at the end there in the last year, and I think that plays a big part of it too. Because then many of them will change style, keeping that same style. And I think for Spain specifically this year, Luis de la Fuente, he's been with them. Some of these guys for like 12 years
Yeah,
since really young players. He went
since the
up through the ranks in
Olympics.
Spain. The Olympics, and even before that, it was like under 20s or something like that.
Yeah,
So he knows this, and they know the style, and I think that's again like you made the argument, Spain could win it again. I can totally see it because of that. And so we'll see in another 4 years.
and I like to add something. It's time to talk about the Spanish dominance. The top coaches are all Spanish. Pep Guardiola, even Arteta. I'm not the biggest Arteta fan, but he just won the Premier League. Luis Enrique, PSG, De La Fuente. I mean, every top tournament was won by a Spanish coach. And then
Mhm.
Spain themselves, they won the Women's World Cup, the Men's World Cup, the U20, the Olympics. I mean, they swept the table. I don't think
They did.
any country has ever done that, and it's time to give Spain credit for going through their golden era. Right now, the 2010, 2008 to 2012 run of Spain was amazing. 2 Euros and a World Cup. But now you see the Euros, World Cup, Women's World Cup, U20, and Olympics. I mean, and like we mentioned, it's a young team. They're going to win
Yeah.
a lot more trophies.
And I think that's to say too, and that's something I was thinking as well. Are they the gold standard now in terms of the style of play? And will teams
Absolutely.
start to change into that? And that reminds me a lot of the dominance of Barcelona back in the day with their tiki taka, and many of the teams trying to emulate that. And can they do it? I don't know because not everybody goes through that same style of
Or they
training
have the
and
players for it.
So it will be interesting to see, are there changes when it comes to those tactics and the style of play after this World Cup and after seeing that dominance over the last couple of years. But you really got to give kudos to that Spain Federation in general from the top down.
Yeah, you're spot on. The gold standard is Spain and PSG right now. And it's a
Mhm.
lot of high press and let's defend with the ball. We lose the ball, let's high press. We have the ball, let's be smart with it and let's, you know, touch and move. It's a little bit of tiki taka, but evolved. Luis Enrique
Yeah.
has evolved Pep Guardiola's ideas, and Luis de la Fuente has seized that style of soccer and implemented with the national team. And a lot of those players
Yeah.
have played that style. So Spain has, from the moment they're 15, 16, they have a certain style that they want to play, and every top team plays that style. So you grow up with that same style. It's not the same in, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina. Like no one has that continuity like Spain does.
Yeah. So I'm going to be really excited to see what the next 4 years looks like for them, new players that come up, and then for other countries as well, what that's going to look like for them.
Yeah.
The end of the World Cup, though, we made our guesses on the World Cup accolades: the golden ball, the boot, the glove, and the young player, and we hit on a lot of them. We have for the ball, we had Rodri, which we both said. You said if Argentina wins, or Messi, and then opposite if
Yeah.
Spain, Rodri, well deserved. The golden boot, I knew it.
You
Mbappe
called
got
it.
his he got his goals in. Unai Simon, obviously, no goals in 7 games. I believe something like
Yeah,
that.
7
60
clean sheets.
something
Yeah.
minutes. So insane stat. And then the young player, Kubarsi,
Future
rightfully so.
future
Well
Ballon
deserved.
d'Or winner, Pau
Future
Cubarsí.
Ballon, yeah, for next year. You heard it here right
I'm
now.
starting the
Another one.
campaign.
Yeah, you're going to see him picketing around East Palo Alto with it. Mayor of EPA and also biggest Kubarsi
Future
fan.
mayor of East Palo Alto.
Future,
No, but I think it's time to we might have to lay the Machi mush, you know, to bed. You got the World Cup final right. You got
well, you know
your
what?
predictions are coming true. I think we're gonna have to put the Machi's always wrong, bet against him segment, to bed.
I don't. We'll see. We'll see. Because maybe it's just on the podcast. Because if we start texting and it's changes, I feel like it's going to be different.
Hey, I could use a couple of dollars, so send me send me some picks in the NBA or MLB when it starts.
I will say, I said I'm going to trick fate, and I said at one point
You did.
Argentina's going to win it, and then I switched it up. So we'll see. Maybe that's the key. But let's, Oscar. I think we need to do a review now of the World Cup. Obviously, we got a little bit of World Cup blues now that it ended. I swear, I did sit for about 20 minutes on
It's
my couch after
hard. It's hard
it
not turning on
ended.
the TV and having something in the background.
I know. It was really tough, but let's talk about, the just the World Cup in general. To start off, who were for you some of the best and worst performers when it came to teams and players?
All right, so for me, the worst teams in the tournament, it's two. It's Turkey and Uruguay.
Yeah,
Turkey has been the dark horse since 2002, and you know, they get grouped
they
every
do.
time. And I want to root for Turkey. I like Turkey, but they, unlucky or whatever you want to call it, they got grouped.
Hmm.
Uruguay, they like to say they have 4 World Cups. We know they have two. But they didn't show up. Muslera was awful. My biggest disappointment from both teams, Arda Güler, he likes to say that
Yeah,
he likes to hang up a jersey every time he loses. That wall's gonna get filled up with a bunch of jerseys because he's been losing a lot lately. Fede Valverde was awful all year.
he was
I've been
bad.
saying he's overrated, and I'm waiting for someone to tell me I'm right because he got Xavi Alonso fired. He got in a fight with his own teammate in Madrid. He tried to get Bielsa fired, and he did not show up the whole World Cup. He
He
was
didn't.
a ghost. And the last person was Muslera. He should have stayed retired and he should have watched on the couch with us. Who
I
were
mean,
your disappointments?
well, I got to digest what you just said, but I totally agree about Muslera. That was horrible to see. I felt bad because he had like that 2010 World Cup where they made that deep run. He was incredible, and it's kind of sad to see now that he's kind of going down in terms of just not a great player when he did have such a solid
Yeah,
career
Father
for
Time's
Uruguay.
undefeated.
It is. Always, always. For mine, so in terms of the team, I was incredibly disappointed with Germany. They have so
Yeah.
much young talent, and going into it, I thought, okay, they could be really make a run and really push, some of these bigger teams to the brink in terms of this tournament. And they were a team again, and I saw this quite a lot of possession without actually doing anything. And
Yeah.
there's a big difference. There was no penetrating passes at times. The opportunities weren't there or the finishing was just not there. And so
Yeah.
that was really frustrating to see. And they got knocked out relatively early. So I had Germany. And then for my player was Vitinha. Vitinha having a really great season for PSG and them winning the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then watch again another player where if I don't have the statistic, but they were showing all of his passes, hardly any of them went forward.
No
They were
purpose to
all
his passes.
side or back. So again, possession without purpose, just to hold possession. And I know that he is more of a defensive player, but I think he has the quality as well to start making some of those line breaking passes. And he just didn't do that. And Portugal again lost relatively early as well. And so I would have to say Vitinha because I was just hoping and expecting for more.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
for you though, what are some of the surprises? What were some of the teams and players that were like, dang, I did not expect that from them?
I have two. My first one, it has to be Cabo Verde.
Yeah.
Vozinha went from who's this guy? I mean, he would walk down the street and you wouldn't recognize him to now he's a household figure. You
Hmm.
know, I want Vozinha on my team every day on the week and twice on Sunday. You know, so I
Yep.
mean, Cabo Verde, they return back to their home country as heroes. All of them, they're
They
gonna
did.
eat for free in every place that they walk in. And you know, you might call me Homer Simpson with the next one, but Mexico had a great World Cup.
They
I
did.
I I believe the ECC. I fell for the hype. You know, I booked a flight to Mexico City to go watch them play. I thought they were really good. They went 3 for 3. They put, you know, belt to ass to Ecuador, and they gave the best that they could to a really good England team. The best players from each team, I mean, I already mentioned Vozinha. Vozinha was really good. And then for Mexico, it has to be the one and only, my guy, San
Julian,
Julian Quiñones. He was
if you
amazing. I mean,
if you are just listening, Oscar has a small sticker of Julian Quinones
that I
as a
keep in my
saint
wallet.
at all times. It is very important.
Clip
So
it.
I'm gonna clip it. It's gonna go onto Instagram so that everybody can see it, and it'll be on the YouTube as well once we post this. But he's, I mean, I gotta find me one of those.
I mean, if you ever need anything to go right in your life, if you need a promotion, a pay increase, if you're, you know, down in the dirt with the ladies, if you got into some car trouble, you know, light a candle and pray to San Julian Quiñones, and good things are gonna happen. I saw this
He,
man give me 2 championships with Atlas when my uncles, the biggest Chivas fans, were saying my grandkids, kids were never gonna see a championship. And here comes my boy San Julian. He gave me 2 championships. And with Mexico, he made us believe. He
he
became
did.
instantly with 4 goals this tournament and 1 assist, one of the top goal scorers in, you know, World Cup history for Mexico. He's 1 away from El Matador. So
His impact was, if he was not playing on the team, and that was a big hole on this
yeah.
Mexico side going into the tournament, and he really filled that void, and especially with the goals, which is what they really needed. So,
Yeah, he was really
um,
good. He
he
made
was
a believer
awesome.
from everyone that criticized him for being born in Colombia. I mean, the man, you know, started playing professionally in Mexico in the second division. He
Hmm.
arrived at what, 16, 17 years old. He's only played for Mexico. He's said no to Colombia. His wife's Mexican, his daughter's Mexican. I mean, he's one of us. He's
He is.
Mexican. And he made a believer from, you know, the most scraunchy anti Julian Quinones person in the world to where
Hmm.
every single person in Mexico, in the US, was celebrating every single one of his goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody get your Julian Quinones jerseys before they get sold out, because Oscar might be buying all of them by
I
the
might, I might. I'm buying a high on Julian. You got a candle with his face on it, or a little picture for your wallet. I'm buying it.
for me, in terms of my biggest surprises, Congo, the Democratic Republic of
Oh
Congo.
yeah.
I thought they had a great tournament going into it. Oh, I wish I could remember his name. The fan that would just be standing there, so
Oh
iconic.
yeah. What's
He
his?
was.
Oh, he was.
I'll have to.
Yeah.
We'll have to show it later and look him up. But I think just the presence of Congo, them qualifying, how big that was for them, and having a great showing. They almost eliminated England,
Yeah.
and
They
they
were in
were
the
on
lead
the
until
brink
what,
of it.
minute 70 something, 80.
So
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome to see them. And I think it was really cool in terms of this expanded format with 48 teams compared to 32, that these teams that for many, they're like, oh, they're going to get, 6 or 7 goals scored on them, were able to really compete. And then my surprise player was Charles de Ketele. from Belgium.
Who?
Charles de Ketelier from Belgium. He was the tall, lanky striker who
Yeah,
plays for Atalanta, had 3 goals all season, and scores 3 in the World Cup. He
crazy.
was an absolute stud for them. Physical, winning balls, hold up play, and I mean, he probably got most of his goals during against the US, unfortunately, but again, he made things really difficult against that Spain game too. He got that goal also. And so for me, he was a huge surprise because I'm like, oh, this guy didn't do anything. Why aren't they starting Lukaku? He's coming off the bench, but I think he really showed up. So that was my biggest surprise of the game, and just in terms of the whole tournament. So I think it was a really fun one in general.
Yeah, I have an honorable mention also. We talked about it earlier where it's a World Cup. You gotta play until your body physically can't let you. And Christian Pulisic tapping out with a bone bruise. Bro, what are we doing? A bone bruise? Raul Jimenez took his headpiece off, his protective headgear, in the final 15 minutes of the game where he could literally die. He was
He
ready
could
to
have, yeah.
sacrifice his body in order to see Mexico win a game against England. And Christian Pulisic taps out with a bone bruise. And then after the game, he says, "Oh, I got hurt, but now I have time to rest." Yeah, bro, you got 4 years to rest now. Like you didn't play the Gold Cup, and now you have 4 years to rest. Like
I
Donovan would have played, Dempsey would have played. Like, what are we doing? A bone
there
bruise?
is there is a big argument happening on social media, especially after that game, specifically from US pundits, from past players about
Yeah,
just the PR and sort of how he comes across. It doesn't feel like that invested in the team, and maybe it's the pressure of it. Maybe that's just not his personality. But
yeah.
he has become the face of US soccer, and it is not a good
Yeah, he
showing
hasn't
from.
risen up to the level of a representative of U.S. soccer. I mean,
Yeah,
like we're former players, current players, in beer leagues. I'll play with the bone bruise at the Hoover League right now. You know,
yeah,
half of my cousins have knee problems. We call it the Perez curse. And we still
it is a
play. And with,
everybody has one ACL. They've lost one. I have one Achilles. It's all bad.
yeah, and you're telling me you can't play with the bone bruise? What are we doing, Machi?
I don't know, but I think in this next World Cup cycle for the US specifically, and we can do a whole episode on this, I think there is going to be a need in terms of the change of the guard
Yeah.
potentially, or just someone that's going to step up and be that new face, because I think that really does affect the team's morale and how they're perceived. And just sort of thinking about 2030 now, right? We've got 4 years until the next World Cup. What were some of your takes? Because there were some big changes in this one in terms of like water breaks. We've got what I call commercial breaks or
Yeah,
hydration
commercial
breaks for
breaks.
the homies
Absolutely.
at home, but not necessarily for the players. Ticket prices was another big one about this World Cup specifically. And I have wonderings about 2032 and just the spirit of the game in general. What do you think about that?
So I'll start off with the atmosphere in the games. I
Yeah.
was able to go to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil and the 2018 World Cup in Russia, and the atmosphere felt like it was still for the people.
Yeah.
This last World Cup, you went to a couple games, I went to a couple games, and the games that I went to, it seemed like it was all corporate, you know, sponsorships that got the tickets, or a lot of influencers.
Yeah.
And I think it takes away from the atmosphere of the game. This is the people's game.
It
There's a
is.
reason why it's the most played and watched sport in the world. It's because it's for the people. It's by the people for the people. And now it seems like it's been too commercialized. You
Agreed.
know, anyone with the following got free tickets, and obviously they're not going to cheer the same as the blue collar guy from name any country in the World Cup who paid his hard earned cash to make it there, and it takes
Hmm.
away from there. And for me, the water break was. just a slap in the face to anyone that's played soccer. We grew up playing 45-minute halves, no matter the weather. You
Didn't
got your
matter.
water break in those 15 minutes, and now it seems like it's a money grab. And this is not the NBA, this is not the NFL where there's 4 quarters. Soccer's not 4 quarters, it's 2 halves. And it seemed like there was almost like a how can I put it? Teams had to adjust to the new rules of the water break because it was like, "Hey, let's give it our all for the first 25 minutes, and then we'll see what they're doing tactically, and let's adjust." And that's a
Yeah.
whole different game. Some teams had Mexico had England on the ropes those first 25 minutes, and then the water break came, and Tuchel put them in the right spots, and the game completely changed right after that. So I think it was hard for teams to adjust and just sort of have a game plan to the new rules. The teams that adjusted
Yeah.
the best, I think, made it further.
I agree. It felt like a timeout, like at a,
Yeah,
one of those games, right? It felt like a timeout. Coaches changed tactics and they moved on. And like you said, the good ones ended up winning because of those, taking off advantage of those. But I was just more frustrated for sure about the influencer culture around it. There were some that are very invested in the game, and some that I think it is really cool that they're introducing their platform to such a wonderful sport and opportunity. But there were some of them that were just kind of there to build clout or clip farm, is how I
yeah.
describe it. There was one guy who made some video. I didn't watch it, but it said, I ran a 5K inside the stadium
Oh
during a World
God.
Cup game. And I'm like, why are people like this watching the game when there are so many other people that are so invested that are there to cheer the teams and to really like will really appreciate something so special this that happens every 4 years. It's soccer's Olympics. You know how big and global the Olympics and important they are to sports, and soccer is that, the World Cup is that to all these people. And so people taking advantage of that and using it in this way really frustrated me. And I felt
Yeah,
really grateful that I had the opportunity to go to a game this year. We watched it at Levi's, Jordan, Algeria, which aren't my teams, but to see the atmosphere and the people there. And thankfully, those tickets overall, at least for me, were much more affordable than some of the other ones I saw in general. But you saw how invested the fans were, even if these weren't, the teams that were necessarily going to be the teams that are going to win it. But seeing that atmosphere was huge. And I think the influencer culture really made it tough
yeah.
and
The
hard.
the World Cup has always been a celebration of the sport and just everyone's culture.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to realize that you have more in common with the person across the globe than you probably do with your neighbor.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to meet some wonderful random people during the World Cup. Just recently, I met
Mhm.
a couple guys from England. One guy is a Nottingham Forest fan. Another guy's a Tottenham fan. Would have never met them. Had a couple beers, had a couple tequila shots, and from there you kind of become friends and you get to celebrate their culture, our culture, and just it takes away from that making tickets so expensive.
Yeah.
Like for us, for me and my cousin the water boy, our cousin the water boy, we had to sell his kidney in order to make it into the game. He's one kidney down, but we were able to make it, and it's not the same as in 2014. I remember tickets cost $150, maybe 200
Yeah.
bucks, and I got to see Mexico Croatia. 2018, it was round of 16, Mexico Brazil, and they cost 250. That ticket today would have cost us 2-3 grand. Like, who can
Mhm.
afford that? Or
No.
you can, but you have to make a lot of sacrifices, and you decide, is it actually worth it?
Yeah,
And for
no.
some people, it's
Absolutely.
not.
Definitely. Or they just don't have the means to do it even if they do, try on the side. So,
Yeah,
my hope is by 2030 that there can be a change when it comes to that. I guess we'll see, and hopefully that for the best of the sport more than
yeah.
anything.
Bring it back to the people.
Yeah. And I think as we kinda wrap up this review of just the World Cup in general, we gotta, say our goodbyes in a sense. It's an end of an era for some of these players that we grew up on. For many, it's Cristiano Ronaldo's most like, I mean, you have a hot take. He's coming in 2030.
He's coming
I
back.
don't.
He's coming
As of
back.
as of now, there's a good chance he's not coming back. Messi, there's something I was reading that potentially he's saying his goodbye soon.
Yeah.
Luka Modric. another staple in the midfield that this would be his last World Cup. Don Memo. Non-Mammon has hung up the boots. So just a thank you to those players and the impact that they've had on so many people's lives. And then ours personally, I remember watching Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi YouTube videos when YouTube was brand new and fresh and just having those on repeat all the time and trying to emulate them. And so it's a sad I think that's another reason I was depressed because I knew it was an end of an era for some of these
Yeah.
players.
I think when I describe the World Cup to people that are starting to watch it, the World Cup's always special for us soccer fans because you remember your first World Cup, you remember your first World Cup heartbreak. You know, you remember watching, and 2006 for me, that's the greatest World Cup. Young players like Rooney, Messi, Ronaldo, like, it's just you remember every little thing. You remember waking up at 2 in the morning in 2002 in the,
Yep.
South Korea, Japan World Cup. So it's a point of reflection, where you were 4 years from now and where you're gonna be 4 years from the current World Cup.
Yeah.
And it is hard to say goodbye to these players. I mean, we grew up with them. Messi, I've watched, 90% of Messi's games with Barcelona and Argentina. Ronaldo, I can respect him as a competitor and the athlete and soccer player that he is. And it is hard to say goodbye. It's almost like a piece of our childhood is dying, with the
Mm.
closure of this chapter for these players, you know?
Yeah. And most of these guys now are way younger than us. So that's
Crazy.
also one it's a reflection of who we are as people too and where we're at in
Absolutely.
our own lives. But now I'm getting real sad. So let's pop in real quick. We're gonna do how are you doing on your beer?
Uh, 2 down.
Dude, let's do a quick beer review before we kind of get ready to sign off here. I'll start off first. So I had the Kayak Kolsch. This is from, like I mentioned, Deep River Brewing. I really like this one. I just kind of picked this up at a Trader Joe's here in North Carolina, and I would absolutely drink this again. I'm giving it a 3.75 out of 5. So I'm like, this is pretty solid. I'd definitely do it again. Pretty crisp, solid Kolsch. Highly recommend if you're a big Kolsch fan and like something a little bit lighter.
Yeah, for me, this Laughing Monk, Muchos Goles, I mean, right off the bat, puts you in a
That
World
can's
Cup
sick.
mood. I mean, that is nice art on the can. Laughing Monk always does a really good job with their can
Mhm.
designs. Like it sounds a Mexican lager. So imagine a Modelo Corona with more body to it. I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5. This was
Nice.
a really good beer. I can see myself drinking this on a Viernes Botanero with the Liga MX, you know? Watching, Puebla versus Juarez and throwing down
Oh,
a couple of these, it was really, really, really good. I'm a
we're
big fan
ready
of this
for that.
beer.
When since Oscar does technically owe me a beer and I'm not there in person, I'm hoping he saves me one for when I come back to the Bay.
I do have some for you. Perez always
Perfect.
plays his debts.
We're solid then. And now that the World Cup's over, like what are we gonna watch, man? I mean, you just mentioned it. Los Viernes Botaneros de Liga MX
One and
are
only.
right here. We started. So we've
Yeah, yeah.
got Liga MX here starting up. They had the first game this past week and we're going to be going for another 18 weeks or so. We got the Leagues Cup as well, which is a tournament played between the MLS and Liga MX as well, which ends up choosing winners from the Conca champions. And so that's something that you definitely have to look forward to. And then there are the larger domestic leagues too. For example, we've got the Premier League, which is in England, La Liga in Spain, Serie A, League One, Bundesliga, those are all in, different countries. We got Italy, France, Germany, and those will all be starting up in about a month. And so now that we're kind of getting over there and we've got our Liga MX teams. Oscar's a big Atlas fan, obviously. I'm a Chivas fan. I actually don't have though a Premier League team. I don't really follow anyone in Europe, so we thought it would be really fun. And we actually do have a special guest that will be joining us. We get Lemon from North Carolina over here. If
The
you could
one and
come
only
walk
Lemon.
over and help us out, please. Lemon's going to help us out. We thought it'd be really fun to do a little segment of picking my team for life when it comes to Europe. I am a big fan though of the Premier League and their style of play, and we're actually going to do an episode that's talking about the different leagues and their different styles and what can you look forward to. But for
Yeah.
this one, I'm picking the Premier League, and what we're doing is since it starts in about a month, the first game being between Arsenal and Coventry on August 21st. I have a little bowl here. Lemon from North Carolina, my brother. Can you come over here real
A-
quick?
And
Thank
and
you.
we're gonna do it this way because it's hard to choose between wanting to root for a team that wins championships and enjoying the grind of being a smaller club. We're not gonna give
That
you the
is
opportunity to choose a big club. You're not gonna,
no.
you know, be a Kevin Durant and choose a team that's gonna, give you an easy
Yep.
championship. If you get a small team, you're gonna stick with them for the rest of your life.
I honestly am super excited for this because I am someone that is a diehard. I love if you're talking baseball, I love my Oakland Athletics, not from Oakland anymore.
Rest in
My
peace.
Sacramento, Vegas, Oakland A's now. And they're just the Athletics. They don't have a play. They don't have a home currently.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a ride or die when it comes for it. And I think this is actually going to be really fun. So since the Premier League is starting relatively soon and there's quite a few teams in the Prem, what we're doing is we've got a bowl here. So we're not cheating. Lemon from North Carolina here is going to be picking out five different little pieces of paper. They've got the Premier League team names on them, and each one gets eliminated until we're down to the last one. That will be in a couple episodes, and that will be my team. So, Lemon, if you could help us out here real quick, we'll do
First
a
team
little
out.
first team out is all right. We've got it here. The first team out is Crystal Palace. So, Crystal Palace, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
they've had a good
you're
run
out.
the last couple years in the FA Cup.
They have been, which actually would have been a really fun one. I'm a little disappointed in that they're gone. Second one is Fulham. Oh,
Oh,
unfortunate.
not Raul
Uh,
Jimenez, so that's a sign.
Raul Jimenez, Tim Ream, my brother's favorite player as well from the
Raul Jimenez
US.
going back to Wolverhampton.
He is. All right. Third team, Newcastle.
Oh,
Another one. They've been shelling out some money.
yeah.
They would have been a fun one. Fourth one is the reigning champs. We've got Arsenal here. They are out.
Hey, we can't. There's already a guy in our group chat that goes for Arsenal, so there can't be too
Yeah, we
many of
can't have
us.
too many of them.
That's a good
And the
sign.
fifth, the fifth one for this episode that is out is Hull City, who just recently got promoted. So just to review, no Hull City, no Crystal Palace, no Fulham, no Arsenal, and no Newcastle.
A lot of
So
you guys
those are the
are. A lot of those teams are gonna miss out on a very faithful fan. So
they
they're
really are. So
they're gonna
I'm
be sad
sorry.
the next couple days. We'll see if they can
So
recover.
you can blame Lemon from North Carolina over here for it. Thank you, Lemon. Our
Thank you,
own
Lemon.
Vanna White. Next time we'll have him make an actual appearance on the show. But I think that's it for today. Oscar, thanks again. Looking forward to chatting and doing these in person again when we meet up in the Bay. And we'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll really dive into some of these different leagues and who you can look forward to and start watching. And if you're a new fan, really start to dive deep in who's your team as well. So, Oscar, thank you. Have a good one.
Great episode. Thank you.